Hello there, Aries, and welcome to your reading with me, Melissa Joy. We're going to take a look at what is going on and the energy around you. Now, I can tell you in my meditation time for your sign ahead of time, they were talking about an ace in the hole, and that got me kind of curious. So let me set that aside. We're going to bring out the bullseye, the secret shaman deck or sacred shaman deck, something like that. I hope you have been well. This has been some year, has it not? It has been the first 12 months of the, oh, I see you. Nope, you're going to have to let go of something. The first 12 months of the Taurus North Node, Scorpio South Node. And it has been a doozy, talking about cleansing and clearing family lines, familial lines, familiar lines, and the way things seem like they should go. But that's why it's been one more trip around the mountain. Same scenario, different skin suit, 101 for whoever wonders. Somebody wearing a new body showing up in your world, teaching you the same old lesson. Now we're ready to move past the lessons and get to the blessings. And so maybe that's what you're talking about with this ace in the hole, is that is your entry point. It makes me think of, if you've ever played mini golf, anyone that I've ever played at, the final hole, the 18th hole, is the ball catcher. It gathers up your balls so that you're through playing the game. So when it lands in that, it spirals down, it returns to the place from where you got it. Now that apparently is not going to be your job. That's nature's job, is to return it, put that thing back where it came from. Well, so help me. Monsters Inc., if you have seen that, friend. I think I want to get a little peek of, okay. You set me up here. But anyways, it's not about winning or a prize or anything like that. It's about being able to move out of the game, out of the question, the logic, the doubt, the being pitted against yourself, weighing options, that type of thing. When we come into our whole self, our whole brain works, and that is where the juices flow. So here, let's take a look. Let's start with this middle world. Give me just a second. We've got the middle world. Yes, the middle world supported by magic. Ooh, 33 and 32, the luminous warrior and the smoky mirror. Then that means we're going to go this way. Taming the wind. That is the biggest element of change right now. Being able to see the resonance and confirmation of what you're picking up in your spirit. Getting on board with your spirit. Learning to stop, take a deep breath and relax and get into the groove when things begin to feel hectic. Even if they feel uber exciting, it's taking that moment to modulate and to bring yourself back into a place where it flows both ways, all right? More than just the yin and the yang. We think of those things spiraling around, but really it's that harmonizing of it going on. And that brings in the order, this beauty way. Dragonfly eyes. So they see with 30,000 facets to their eyes, the lenses that they have, but it all comes into one central processing unit, CPU. Somebody write that down. Central processing unit. Okay, and that's what I see right here. The Chiron spiral coming on in. The season of Ophiuchus, which is what we're in right now. Chiron is the wound. If you look at your chart, it's the thing that somehow it always seems to come back to that 333, whoever's wondering. But then, pardon me, shaking your word up. Ophiuchus is the 13th zodiac, or you could call it the 13th constellation, but it's sitting out there, and it's because it's larger than life. It breaks out of that belt into the sun zone, and that is the healed healer. That's when life goes from this flat disc of rote, of the same pitfalls, the same snags, the same things, regardless of the skin suit that they are wearing or the job, people, places, time, or thing, wherever they come in. It begins to take on dimension and give space for all this to, could I say occur, but to exist, so that then we can begin to navigate it. Have you ever seen in a movie where the main character walking through the scene, all of a sudden they walk in and the scene just sort of stops, but they're able to still move and navigate around in it? Well, that's kind of like the ace in the hole. If you could just strike it and wherever it rolls, you just keep going, because eventually it will be a hole in one, right? Because it's one in the hole. All right, you getting into luminous war here. You being all tricky and parable with your words. So I could see why. This is what it's like more in the orbs in the sphere, getting the golden self in the center of what comes into us, also being what comes out of us, all right? And this I've been meditating on lately is, how come we're the only ones with a belly button? And if there are others with a belly button, other creatures on this planet, please let me know. Now, I know many have had the umbilical cord, but we have the belly button that remains. So it's knowing that we didn't get here all on our own. We're in here, and it's not like you didn't get here all on your own. It's like you didn't get here all on your own. There is love and support for you. Know that. And that begins to move these shadows out of your sight line. This is kind of like the shadow of Jupiter and Pluto. Not Jupiter itself, but Jupiter's quite large, right? So maybe you feel like you follow in big footsteps, or maybe your soul feels larger than life, but you're afraid you can't live up to it. Maybe it's expectations and goals versus performance. And those are things that coming into that whole world and leaving the game behind is going to dissipate. Then, okay, Luminous Warrior says that's when the disc comes on. The pure, true reflection. The hindsight becoming foresight, all right? And having that relationship of being able to pick up on things ahead of time and trust. Like when you know something's sort of speaking to you and you don't know exactly what it's saying or what it means or what it's about, but you know it has relevance and importance. It just tucks away into a place that somehow your luminous warrior, your fabulous wind, that CPU knows where to go in to retrieve it, to bring it back up when it starts putting itself together. Because it's not building in this flat linear way or this adjacent way. It's taking you into a full dimension, a sphere of influence. And with that, the moon is looking at me. Now, this go around on this set of zodiacs, these people have been out here, the moon and the Queen of Wands. So it was talking about this intense moon that we've been going through that was going to last a full 6 weeks. The energy ripple. You ever seen somebody jump in a pool and do a cannonball? The ripple doesn't just go one little wallop right around them, right? And depending on where they jump in relation to the edge of the pool, those ripples can carry on out. Some of them so strong that they even hit the wall and begin to make a return. So 717 for whoever's wondering. But that's where it brings in this disturbance. Oh, look at that. Because see the ripples with the smoky mirror? It's more talking about the water than it is the mist going on around you. It's how do you see yourself in light of Neptune? Okay. So in my meditation today, they were talking to me about when our splat of how we landed in this world, meaning our astrology picture, right, begins to take on dimension, then those planets begin to float and suspend themselves in space, like what's going on here in your universe. And they've been talking about Neptune. Neptune is actually the wound inflictor. It's the piercing that goes through because the waters of the earth and the sky fully joined together and the land is in the way. Well, that piercing of the land, that moving it on through creates that Chiron wound, that feeling of separation in the sense of feeling singled out. Okay, and they're wanting to move it back into a flow. Into a flow, maybe for some of y'all, Tai Chi or Qigong, right? Into a flow of feeling special, feeling unique, as opposed to feeling like a target. And that's the beauty of doing away with the game, doing away with the ace in the hole, saying bullseye. Okay, that's what's going on here. And that quickly brings this in. But it seems in the movement, it got caught up in a mask, meaning a filter, a way in which you see it, thinking that is limited to just that scope, 855. That's about creative challenge and change, moving into connecting with yourself for, I'm just going to say what they're saying, financial ruin or financial gain. Okay, so we're still on the tipping point. When we leave the game behind, it's kind of like if you choose true or false, and then instead you realize it's always both. It's and you instead, on that tipping point, you go right into the fulcrum, into the center and on through it. Because when you have the full spectrum of life, it always adapts and changes, as opposed to a chameleon. It adapts and changes to each and every scenario, leaving a realm, leading into a realm of perfection. To me, perfection is, wow, that worked out. So it's things always working out, because TION in the perfection is the ongoingness of life. But yet many of us were schooled in a way of, here's the way that you do this, and here's how you get the answer, and the right answer is what promotes you on to the next level and the next stage. Perfect 10, whoever wonders. And that's how we've been living our lives. But that's not actually how life operates. That's how school operates. And that's why they're wanting us to graduate from school and begin to return to our nature, our goldenest self, our luminous warrior, our spiritual, our soul, our physical, mental connection. And that divine self is you, my friend. It's the you who has that perfect perspective, who does know everything, who has the most intimate viewpoint with you, the perfect communication style, and full-on connection with yourself. But we had just kind of been trained in these sort of ways, and that might be why Big Papa, Big Daddy Saturn, Sam owns somebody's stuff right here, because my nose is itching. You might want to watch the Magic and Miracles read, because he was coming on through to begin to loosen his grip on us. And it's not so much his grip, but the grip of what we were told things were and the way they worked, so that we can step out from behind that, out of that shadow, out of that old Jupiter, and into the truth of our own resonant beauty. And they're saying, and also 1111, resident beauty. Coming into union with ourselves by feeling comfortable with who we are, doing away with that illusion, that smoky mirror of being separated. See how these ripples show up, and they make it more arduous, and it seems to take longer, to where if we will do just like the Buddha here, and we'll take that moment knowing, remember hindsight becoming foresight, and that we know that if we just give it a few moments, it'll clear and passage will be easy. But if you set out on this torrid water, you're just going to keep it stirring up. But if you let it become calm and smooth, then you barely make a ripple, because you're going with the ease of the energy, which could be going with the flow. Flow doesn't always look like it's flowing. So I want to get a bit of a pearl on that. Who's our patient? Sagittarius. These are like... So it's talking about Edward Scissorhands, that cookie cutter 1212, that you're not cookie cutter. This is about the individual path of your calling. The individual path of your calling, like your Dharma. For many of you, it is your part of fortune. See this woman holding a coin? So now this coin has to do with fortune. Now you could Google how to find the free part of fortune in my chart, and it will end up looking like this. It's going to be a circle. It's a plus or an X, however you want to turn it, okay? But it's kind of like you to treasure. X marks the spot, right? And when you find out where that is, you can begin to listen to some of those readings, because remember, we are the whole zodiac, and we're here to begin to illumine you. She's being very intense, that moon, wanting to illumine you into this knowing who you are, so that you can live out of this place instead of living out of the cart. You live out of the horse. You don't put the cart before the horse. You put the horse before the cart, right? No more school. No more lessons, no more tests in order to be blessed. Those aren't the blessings we're here for. We're here to enjoy our life. So when you get into that part of fortune like mine, it's right on the cusp between 8th and 9th house, which is a unique energy. But also it's in the full sign of Leo. So Leo has to do with stepping forward, shining in your golden self, the light of day, the sun, the illumination, and the awakening of oneself. It's a lot like that luminous warrior that's going on here. And so I tune into Leo as well. I listen to the whole zodiac based on what my spirit leads me to. But if you're perplexing or quandering on this information going on here, you might also check out your Leo when it gets posted to get a little more illumination, because that's what he keeps speaking to us about. It's being able to settle into who you are as opposed to settling for who you are. That was 1414, whoever wonders. So that it becomes more personalized and more specific to you, okay? Because that wheel of Dharma is very much like the wheel of fortune. When you look at it, it's like a captain's wheel, and those are the marcations, which would actually have a lot to do with the compass. And it's not just the north, south, east, and west. It can be even more specific. Like people who set sail or go out on a journey want to know, is the wind east, southeast that day, not just south, not just east. So those descriptives begin to create that fleshing out, that forming out of your world to bring in a lot more, she's like, knowing and clarity, okay? And that helps you start to land your mark, to hit your bullseye, not in order to win, but for the bell to ring so that you have the awareness of knowing, aha, yes, I'm on to something here. And that's when those clues and those pieces of the hindsight and foresight, right? The foresight going before you, it starts to knit itself together and you begin to trust and be more guided on your path, thus creating more ease and reducing the friction or the resistance that's on the line. If you've ever found anything out about electricity, it's about how much resistance is on the line as to how easily the energy flows through. And being that we are energy bodies wearing some skin, that is important. And apparently that's the magic, because going into this middle world, it's like you hit on it right there, the flesh, the body, the knowing, the coming into this world, not just like this etheric woo-woo stuff. Luminous Warrior is here just like we are to bring the heaven on earth together. And they're wanting us to have the ability to taste, touch, feel, smell, experience it. Oh, and Queen of Wands is jumping on with that. She's talking about all the fascination of who you are, all that's been stored up and waited and has waited for this time, because you've landed the mark and somebody is on it here who's wanting synchronicity, because that was 16-16. We've had 14-14, 15-15, 16-16. I just wasn't saying them because I'm like, I'm gonna sound like a crazy, but whatever, I'm gonna sound like a crazy. So when this patience comes forward, it brings in a lot of this energy. And this is more like the visceral knowing, and this is more like the mental body knowing. It's softer. Can you see the diffuse light going on there? So your mind may get those ripples and get hit a little bit to try and test you. Like, really? Did they really say? Did that really happen for you? There's no way. Can you get the gist of what I'm saying there? And patience and the smoky mirrors come along to say, give it a moment, be still, be calm. Remember who you are. Know who you are, that you were here for that beautiful pleasure to experience this life in the fullness of it. Not the mask breaking the way, because there's nothing to break, nothing to prove. It's being able to feel the beautiful colors, or in this case, the 4 winds, or they're talking about the 5 winds with the pure power of spirit, enlivening you and invigorating you and coming together in synergy, thus superhuman power. Some of these words could sound odd, but it's talking about being superhuman. And that means, well, how did I know that? I'm glad I thought of that. Sure glad I invested in that, because those nudgings and those knowings come ahead from yourself to yourself, right? To help you out. Where? Not in Never Never Land, right up here. So, Aries, I hope this has you excited. And remember, possibly check out that Leo reading if you'd like. Also, if you're still here, it is free as always to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Help us rise to the top and get this message out for other people. Because guess what? If we all be flowing, is it anybody getting in someone else's business? And that means yours and mine and all of us, okay? So do that for me, friend, if you'd like. And I'd love to see you stop back by. Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye.